Do you ever wonder if a homemade gourmet chicken wing that costs 6 times the price of just a bodged one is actually worth it? The time, the effort, the cost. I was actually thinking that this morning while I was walking through the supermarket, and today's video, we are doing a budget one. We are doing like a midweek fix kind of one, and then a gourmet one that's so fancy it should probably even wear its own top hat. The budget ones are going to be very quick indeed, and it might actually be the best. For the budget ones, I blew most of my budget on, well, I guess it helps, the chicken. These are frozen chicken wings. These were £3 for a big bulk bag and actually quite hard to get hold of. Most of the ones you get in the supermarket are actually already seasoned for you, so it's pretty convenient, to be honest. You get like barbecue ones or chili and lime, so these are just raw wings. £3. Obviously got salt and pepper in the house, that's all right. Got butter, and I always tend to have loads of garlic granules. Don't know what it is. But I did have some budget left over for some hot sauce. So some classic Frank's hot sauce, went for the wings buffalo version, very, very nice. The butter is actually gonna work with that. There's a bit of a hack I was told about that a restaurant did to kind of make it thicker, but let's get the wings going. I have to say, for convenience though, honestly, this is probably really, really good. Bit of salt, some pepper, and if you're wondering why it's called Nessa, this bowl, it's because it's the unnecessarily large bowl. Garlic powder. And that was an unnecessarily loud noise. Gotta be honest though, that was really simple, and just that little bit of seasoning, that little bit of effort has actually, well, it's still raw chicken, but it does feel like it's been partially upgraded. It's gonna go in for half an hour. And yes, you could use the air fryer for that, but I'm going to use that for the second recipe. There's going to be a little bit of a potential sad story with our air fryer today. We need to discuss this. It's important, but not yet. I've never seasoned frozen chicken before. Yeah, it's getting a really good colour on there. We're about halfway through baking now, so it'll go back in, and then there's just the sauce. Easy. All right, so there was a little bit of budget left for some celery. That keeps us within a £5 budget. It's completely up to you, and to be honest, I'm only doing this because I'm just killing time. This is so simple. So here's our frying pan, and we're going to add some butter, but apparently this is like the classic thing that was done by someone called the Anchor Bar in Buffalo, originally with buffalo sauce. Now I don't know if Frank's buffalo sauce already does this, and it's actually thicker. It is quite fluid and watery, like vinegary. So by adding the butter, apparently it creates an emulsion, it thickens it up, it richens the flavour. Yeah, see, it's quite thin. It's going to actually help to bond to the chicken wings. And all we've got to do is melt this together. This shouldn't take long until we can see these buttery trails in there already, and being quite close to that, the vinegary scent from it, ooh, I'm getting some of that. But we can see those buttery trails slowly merging in with it. If any of you guys know more about that, apparently that's an original trick from Buffalo restaurants that they used to do with their wings originally to make the sauce cling more. Despite it still being so warm, it's actually thickening like a tomato soup texture, which should hopefully cloak our chicken, which we're going to get out now. Beautiful peppery garlic smell coming from those. I might not use all of these, but less sauce. In they go. I've taken the half of them away. Quite like the idea of keeping that and chopping it up for a salad tomorrow or something. Because I actually do eat salad from time to time. I know I eat some crazy things on the channel, but it's all in moderation. You know, like one day I'll have 5,000 calories. I've actually never calculated that. There must be some days where I must eat an absolute mountain of food. I try to stay fit, but it's a losing battle, folks. Oh my word. Yes. These are ready to go. Oh. Presentation is not my forte, but one thing I will say is this butter is 100% clinging onto that chicken. It's hugging it. What a cool little tip. I mean, we had the budget for the celery, so we might as well just stick it somewhere. That looks amazing. Mmm. God, that butter has mellowed the sauce out. Mmm. Yeah, it's still got that tang. It's thicker. It's almost like the flavour's lasting longer. You're definitely still getting the zing. Like the sauce is lasting slightly longer. It's almost where it has thickened up. It just wants to stay. We talked about the butter and the sauce emulsifying together, where it's actually maybe turned into a bit of a gloss. The seasoning that we put on there, I'm tasting that. It's made a difference. The chicken itself has shrunk quite a bit. It's worth noting they were quite small pieces initially. I didn't really sort of talk about that. But that, I hope you don't mind that I'm not eating the celery. I've kind of got priorities. It's going to be very hard to beat. This is our mid-range one, sticky Korean-style chicken wings. But first, we need to have a little look about chicken wing theory. So it's worth noting for this one and the last recipe, I've got some good quality chicken wings, but you'll see straight away that this isn't as easy as just dumping it on a tray. And you'll actually see there are 3 parts to a chicken wing. I apologize for any vegetarians watching. You've got the tip, which is basically like, it's hardly any meat in there at all, but it's good if you're gonna like make a stock or a soup or something like that. You've got my favorite bit, which is called the flat. I think it's also sometimes called a wingette. And this section here on the end is called the drumette. And basically what you need to do, I find it easier because we're keeping the skin on for all these recipes, is to just give it a little bit of a snip. You've got to basically find where they connect and then cut down like that to segment it, okay? So we have actually divided it into the 3 pieces. This bit I'm not gonna use, but the really cool thing, the frozen stuff we bought already has that stuff done for you. So it is slightly labor intensive. I'm gonna do that with 4 or 5 more wings and we'll get going. Most of the budget for this recipe went on the sauce. So salt, pepper again, so nice consistency really. And last but not least, some corn flour, help with a crispy skin. All right, so that's nice and coated, looking good. It's time to reintroduce ourselves with a familiar friend who might have to go soon. That's right, Alan, who is actually just preheating, is originally made by a company called Tower. They've actually put out an image of 4 air fryers, and a lot of you guys have spotted me going, oh, Barry, it's Alan. So genuinely, they have been causing fire risks, and with my history with toasters, I know that's probably not a good thing. However, for me personally, I don't know what to do. Is this going to become an artifact? We have probably put Alan through way more tests than the average air fryer user will ever do, and is still going strong. I'm going to say it could be user error. So what do you think I should do? Should we give Alan one big final send-off? I could leave him on my shelf and we get like one slightly better air fryer? Or should we just persist in the safe knowledge that we might be the only people in the world with this air fryer, safe or not? Of course, the benefit of using Alan versus the oven like we did with the first one, of course, like we say, we could have done that, is it will cook way quicker. And not just because it's a fire hazard. And I'm not sure if you can see that. That chicken is way bigger. So maybe that's one of those things when you have, oh, cheers Alan, when you have those budget ones in the supermarket, you don't really sort of study them in the bag, but in isolation, like they were actually pretty small, and especially after they cooked. So let's see what these are like in about 25 minutes. Let's get the sauce, which is where the bulk of our budget went, ready. In the pan, we're gonna get some honey. I'm gonna try and get the garlic to fall into the honey for absolutely no reason. You can see why the budget went on all these random things. This is rice vinegar. I could have used white wine vinegar. We got some of that in the house, but I thought, come on, let's do it. Some sesame oil. This is some soy sauce. This is a light soy sauce, which probably means it only just about tastes like the sea. But we're really driving up those oriental flavors, but it's the last ingredient that really does it. When I've done Korean fried chicken before, you've seen me use it for the first time. I had a massive tub then, but it seems to be really easy to get in supermarkets now. I believe it's gochujang. I probably pronounced it wrong. Effectively, a lovely red chili paste. All of this together, warm through, is gonna make a really epic glaze. That stuff, even for a small jar like that, really does add up, hence why this is the mid-range. All right, down this goes on a flame. It's all very individual at the moment, slightly sticky, but we kind of want that. But even just that little blast of heat there, that's been like 10 seconds, it looks like one consistent mixture. We'll bring it up to a gentle simmer, really get that garlic working, and that is gonna coat our air-fried Alan style, Korean style chicken. Right, not sure if you can hear how crispy they are. They have absolutely obliterated the air fryer bucket. But I can actually see the crispness. Not only has it got it on the chicken, but it has actually scattered everywhere. It's still warm, so we'll get it on initially, stir it through. Oh wow, that smells, I mean, it smells like pound signs. What a day. There we are, folks, and just a few. I don't know if I've just made this look a little bit like a rash, but these, you can probably see they're gonna be nice and sticky, and that paste should pack a punch. Oh, that's got a kick. And that cornflour's worked fantastically. I will say though, to be fair to our first recipe, that one has shrunk as well a little bit. I don't know if that's generally why chicken wings are like one of the cheapest cuts you can get, because there's hardly any chicken on it. But that sauce has just grabbed it, the flavour, the depth. You're even getting the tang from the vinegar. I'm not really tasting the garlic, but the gochujang, I probably really am pronouncing that wrong, I'm sorry. And the honey, those two flavours combined are really locking in and wrapping around every piece of that chicken. And hardly any of it is dripping off. It's proper sticky. But to make all that was 3 times the price, of the actual first recipe, which was so good. let's finish with something that's actually been cooking whilst I've done this whole video. And no, not this sesame oil drizzled garlic bulb that's been wrapped in foil and roasted in the oven for 40 minutes. I'm talking about our bodged sous vide. Ooh. In here is some very nice smelling chicken indeed. This is how we got here. So our last one, more effort, more time, more budget. Sous vide, really hoping for a nice tender chicken. That was what was missing in those other two. Roasted garlic and balsamic chicken wings. Oh, I mean, if it doesn't work so well, at least the other two have been phenomenal. I'm not sure out of the two which one I prefer, but this one was almost 6 times the price. And it was things like the herbs and the oil and the balsamic that really drove that up. And is it gonna be worth it? Let's find out. All right, this is the first scene of the day at 8 AM. So my chicken wings are in a Ziploc bag. This is some garlic paste. That's pretty potent stuff. Some salt, some pepper in the bag as well. And last but not least, I've got a mixture of herbs here. I've got some sage, I've got some rosemary, I've got some thyme, and I'm not even gonna do anything to the stalks, I'm just gonna shove it straight in. I'm gonna leave a little bit of an air gap because we need to get as much of that air out as we can, but for the time being, we can massage all of those ingredients, particularly like the seasoning and the garlic. Right, close that up. Oh, that's pretty good actually. We could vacuum seal if we wanted to, but of course I've got a sous vide machine. However, today I wanted to try and do it with a slow cooker. It's already got a little bit of warm water in to kickstart it. I don't want to put cold water in initially. And this is going to go right in there. So I've got low, high, and keep warm. The keep warm setting is just a smidging too low typically for the sous vide temperature I'm after, like the mid-70s. The low temperature can actually be slightly higher, but because I'm only doing it for a couple of hours, we're going to do it that way. All right, so for the time being, oh yes. They've been sitting there since 8 AM, cooking away whilst we've been doing all the other chicken. There's been this constant herby smell. I've been begging to tell you guys, and here we are. And I don't know why I'm doing that. Okay. We need to actually dry these off, but how I'm going to do it is I'm just going to put them on a wire rack. Oh my word. They look so pale. The smell of the herbs and the garlic is insane. They feel really tender. I might have to try one of these once it cools down, but the rest I'll dry. Can I just have that? That on its own with the garlic and the herbs is really nice. But no, this wire rack is working a treat, but we will pat dry it. This time, no cornflour because these are gonna get proper fried. It hurts me to say this, but this oil alone that I'm adding in, it's nothing too special. Costs more for a 1 litre bottle than it did to make that entire recipe, the first one. Oh. Let's just close that lid. Hopefully it won't impact too much our softened chicken, just the edges. All right, here we go. Out it comes. Ah, golden brown. I really hope that chicken's still soft in the middle. It was not in there long, like 3 minutes, but some fantastic colour. All right, so onto the glaze. This is our garlic bulb that has been roasted in the sesame oil. Now, we left the skin on each of the cloves because they'll just basically push out. Ooh, I might better just do this with a fork, actually. Look, there you go. I can mash it. Look at that, the easiest garlic chopper in the world. So luckily, some of the ingredients I've already used for the second one. I've not had to buy them twice. But if I was to buy them in isolation, it would be just under 6 times the price of the first recipe. Or basically 3 times more than the middle recipe, so it's got a little bit of pressure here. There's the honey, some rice vinegar again, some paprika, crushed chilies, the juice of half a lemon, zingy zingy, and possibly the most expensive ingredient other than the oil was this balsamic vinegar. So we're getting that in there for the really contrast with that roast garlic. Oh wow, that smells amazing. It smells like I've just walked through like a citrus garden. Obviously the lemon's playing a part there, but it just smells like really fresh in general. Just stirring it anyway has brought it together, but we do want to thicken it slightly. The fried sous vide chicken is waiting, and this just needs to coat it. Our balsamic roasted garlic glaze with all those other flavours in there. Even the lemon doing its thing, which I've still got half here. I could squeeze a bit on, or we could just add some zest on it. I haven't decided yet, but let's get this coated to really liven it. It's amazing how the chicken, no matter what, like icing a cake, you can just cover it and it suddenly makes it look insane. Oh, but really do. What I've been finding with these 3 recipes today in the bowl is like it's kind of like puddles towards the bottom, especially whilst it's warm. Keep like lifting it through to give it that really decent coating. That is absolutely outstanding. Okay, it's taken me a lot of time. It's cost a lot of money and a fair bit of effort. But are these homemade gourmet wings versus our budget basic ones and the medium ones worth it? A really, really fun thing to do today. We've just made some good food. Hopefully I've shared 1 or 2 good tips. All right, so I've got the other half of the lemon. I didn't have any budget left for sesame seeds for the middle recipe, but we would have probably put that on there with it too. But I think we've done quite the epic journey on this chicken. It smells fruity. It smells tangy from the balsamic. I'm not getting the garlic as much, perhaps because it's been sweetened. Well, I know it's not quite the same, but look, this is the original one that we made. Proper colour difference there. And that sauce is clinging on. It doesn't seem, even with that butter trick, to be as locked on as these particularly are. In a strange way, with the effort, it's kind of like an intensity of colours as well, isn't it? That this more dark, richer, intense one took way longer than this one, whereas this was kind of in the middle. So far, they've both been good. Let's see what this is like. Oh, just, of all the things I could bite to test the softness, I just bit into a bone. But that glaze is absolutely phenomenal. That is zingy, it is fresh, it's a little bit of tang. And I don't know why. I actually prefer a lime over a lemon. It tastes like lime. But let me try and actually try a piece of chicken rather than some bone. If you're interested, the was for the soft chicken. That is 100% softer. Whether I want that, whether I need it for the effort of waiting for that long, but of course, with sous vide, you could have left that going for days. And maybe that's not essentially what a chicken wing needs. But my other reaction was for the glaze. It is absolutely phenomenal. There's sort of like sweet, tangy notes from the balsamic vinegar with the citrus as well, lifting it, and then like the roast garlic, giving it like this sort of subtle, absolutely incredible like lime vibe. I can't explain it. I should have just squirted lime on it. Ooh. Oh, that's made it slightly fizzy. Lemonade chicken. I can't say it enough, and I'm not going to say it any more than this final time. That glaze is absolutely phenomenal. That is delicious. In true Barry style, I really wanted the budget one to be my favourite, and it is absolutely delicious. I liked the Korean one. It certainly had another extra kick in it, and of course we could have added more paste and more chilies to drive it, but half the ingredients for that ended up going into this. So the budget for this is actually kind of clouded between the two, and that effort of roasting it, I'd say maybe don't sous vide the chicken. That's perhaps a little overkill, but the frying it gave it extra crispiness. Maybe play around with the honey, garlic, balsamic, and lemon vibes, or use the lime. But even things like the sesame seeds on there, the lemon zest, the chili flakes too. I don't want to say this, and if this becomes a playlist, I really don't know if it'll always be this way. But trust me, the Gourmet, I'll type all these recipes up, is absolutely mind-blowing. I'd love to know your thoughts, which one you would prefer, how bad my pronunciation is. Send me photos on social media. You can find me kind of everywhere. I've got my link tree here if you want to scan that code, find out where I am. Barry's everywhere. Well, I'm in the garden kitchen right now. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Ciao for now. I've eaten so much chicken today, I feel like clucking full. Do you know what I mean? It's been a good day though.